How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Ronan.
Hello.
Mod Day. Mod Ash.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. And Mod Ghost will be joining us very shortly. Cool. All right, first question. Savion asks, can you remove the white dots from the minimap in Deadman mode? This is a tricky question. I can see why a lot of people would obviously want this. Can also see some naysayers. What are your thoughts?
For what it's worth, while we could certainly program the engine not to show those dots or to show something different, it's kind of inviting any third-party client to just put the dots back again. See, we can't exactly prevent that from a technical end because the game client has to know where all the people are, so it could therefore draw dots if it felt like it. And the more restrictions we try and put in like that, the more it's encouraging people to try and break the rules. So yeah, we can try and enforce the rules a little better, but ultimately it's not likely to work out very well.
Right.
So that's why we've never really done anything like that before.
I think as far as achieving the scary risk factor that is Deadman mode, even without taking away the white dots, it's already there. It's already going to be terrifying. Adding the white dots is just a little silly.
I'm interested to see how people decide to stall, like running, like when you do your vengeance animation, it stops you running for a second, so you'll quickly dash towards them. I'm interested to see what kind of tricks people find with that to get next to someone quickly, so that they can rush in and make sure that they can't teleport in time.
Vengeance is going to take a while for someone to get, but I think there's like toy horses or something like that.
There'll be something somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably there's enough animations in the game, and although it's fairly easy to change them to make them not do that.
That's fun though.
But at this point, people do kind of get used to it, so we generally leave it alone if it's become a tactic after all this time.
The chat has pointed out we do have Mod Crocs joining us with his presence today.
And admire the kind of burgundy coloured trousers.
Yep.
I think we're probably going to get a croc cam in a minute here, but until then, there you have it.
There's professional setup used in the most valuable ways, of course.
Right. Anyways, as I was saying, there's the white dot question. Okay. So to address the bot complaints, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, this is ridiculous, ModWeth is on holiday, take care of the bots, etc. So we've seen an increase of 8% more bot reports than normal these past few days, which really is quite marginal. So nothing crazy is happening as much as a lot of people are making it seem. That being said, we have a new assistant bot banner starting training tomorrow, which is very exciting. Assistant. And ModWeth will be back with us on Monday, so be sure to tweet him with your how much you missed him. So that's good news. All right.
I wanted to ban bots. He wouldn't let me.
I think everyone does.
I think if we all start banning bots arbitrarily, and then not necessarily knowing how the support team normally does it, or when the support team does it, or how to tell it's really a bot sometimes, the support team would be expected to review the ban, and if it's not them that controlled it in the first place, it's a little unfair for them to try and pick up after our mistakes.
Although, if we have a setup similar to bot busting, we can always have some fun with the potato.
We could have some fun with the potato.
We need to do bot busting again. It needs.
We do definitely need to do that again. That will be happening at some point.
Makes a good stream.
Definitely.
All right. Next question. Robo asks, can we make World 18 strictly a bounty hunter world? So similar back to 2009 when only Edgeville, the Monastery, and the Grand Exchange were accessible. This meant, obviously, you couldn't go to the other areas of RuneScape. You couldn't go to Varrock. It was restricting you strictly to pretty much the areas around the wilderness, pushing people to PK and whatnot.
The good thing about that is, yes, we got an engine feature launched, in fact, today. It was created, in fact, for tournaments, but what it allows us to do is decide whether or not you're allowed to log in before you log in. So we could use that to say you can't log in unless you're in the permitted area on the bounty world.
Okay.
And we then need to try and stop you leaving the area, which would mean putting up fences and such like with gates which would be shut on the bounty world and open on other worlds. But I don't think that would be the end of the world because, you know, most of the area around the monastery, it doesn't really matter if there's a gate on the path or not, as long as it doesn't get in the way when you're not on a bounty world.
I think the concern here is that a lot of people are on World 18 and they're just skilling, they're bossing, doing whatever they want. To force those players to then do that in a different world after they've made that their home world or whatever, and then kind of forcibly say, you can only PK on this world. I could see that upsetting some people.
Well, no one likes losing access to their home world.
Yeah.
I think from what I've seen, there isn't really much of a justification for it. Maybe it's just more of a throwback thing to back how it used to be, but I haven't seen anyone give a reason for it.
It does beg the question what help it would be, because, you know, unless there were 2,000 people in the world all the time and PKers couldn't get in to use it when they wanted to go in the wilderness, well, that would be the only reason why we'd need to restrict it like that.
Yeah.
I could see it being used to gauge how active the wilderness is. If you see World 18 and it has 1,000 players, you're going to think, okay, well, probably a good percentage of those in the wilderness. But yeah.
That might be nice. What if we get that some other way?
Mod Ghost, do you wanna scoot in here?
Interrupt anyone's flow.
Grace us with your presence.
Thank you.
And he appears out of nowhere,
Had to
just
get
like a
tea
ghost.
break. All right, next question then. Semis asks, when will we get to hear more about what Old School has to offer for Runefest? I know nothing about this, so.
You got any
Rowan.
plans?
Old School has to offer Deadman mode. I believe we're going to be allowing people that attend Runefest to have a go on a preview of Deadman mode.
That's the plan.
Okay.
We liked having beta servers up last year so that you could try out the Cork Beast, and we'd like to do it again this time with Deadman mode,
That's awesome.
which would be quite useful because some of the feedback we got about the Cork Beast last time meant we were able to fix a few things before it went live, and that was very helpful. So hopefully you'll be able to help us this way with the with Deadman mode.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how far they can progress within the however many hour period they're there for.
That's true. Also, I just like meeting players anyway, even if they're just talking about Old School.
Yeah, we'll be, of course, throughout the day. The entire team will be there, chat with players. We'll be doing talks on stage as well, talking about the next 12 months of Old School, and some really interesting stuff, which I don't know if I can say, so I'm going to not.
I'm going to say not. some big, very, very, very cool things. But the keynote there is Deadman mode, Runefest, two very cool things all happening at the same time. All right, next question. Andy asks, can we have the ability to change the landscape of which one's house is located? So your house is plotted on a green terrain. Can they have their house in, say, a wintry, snowy terrain or a desert landscape?
Changing the kind of default filler terrain is fairly easy, but we'd have to do a bit more if we wanted the garden rooms to try and copy it.
Right. What'd you think, Gareth? Sorry, Mod Ghost.
Well, I think a lot of that's safe, like snowfall on the ground. We don't tend to use any sort of like complex looking geometry on the floor. It just tends to be single tiles that then sort of merge their colours together as they're blended. So that wouldn't really require much work from me at all, if any, to be honest. It'd just be something that's changed in config.
So it'd be quite easy then.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Could be an interesting feature actually. With a snowy landscape, you could maybe build snowmen around your house. With the desert, you could have cactus growing.
I think we could do with some construction updates. Definitely, there may be some at some point.
Okay.
We had a lot of fun talking about topiary at one point for an Uber garden where you could grow a spirit tree.
Good question. All right. Another question, actually similar to the play-around house question, asking if they can have play-around house designs like wilderness-style brick or canvas-style wood. So taking elements from the game.
New wall kits is relatively easy. I did it in 2009 for the Love Story quest, and we've pretty much got the same code as I had then, so not hard at all. Adding 2 more wall kits is very easy. If we want to go beyond that, then we'll have to do a bit more work to expand the range, but we can do it totally.
Awesome. I think that's a really cool idea, being able to take parts of the game and put them in your house.
As far as modelling goes, it's really cost effective as well, because we can give people exactly the look they want just by using exactly the same models and moving them over. 'Cause most things are 1 by 1 anyway.
You'll likely want to make sure the height's about the same, otherwise we end up with interesting height map problems.
Okay, sure.
But adapting the height of a wall probably won't tax you very much.
No, not too much.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
For what it's worth, the Love Story style of walls, the dark stone was quite simply the same model as the fancy stone, only with a couple of lines in the config saying remove the fancy stone texture and apply a dark stone texture. That's all it was.
All right.
I had no graphics budget.
It's nice to hear answers to these questions saying this is actually quite easy. So, all right, cool. Yumari asks, can something be done to stop players from ruining the blast furnace experience for others?
Well, you could. I think the player in question is finding that people keep going along to his world and over pumping it so it overheats, and then everyone has to stop. Now we could remove the ability to make it overheat. Of course, that's kind of removing the point of the activity, really. But we could if it's completely impossible to use the blast furnace at all with that feature in.
Yeah, I definitely want to gauge the players' responses and see how big of an issue this really is, because it might just be a couple of people really yelling.
Also, with how many people there are doing it.
Yeah.
If there's just one person being a jerk, well, we don't actually have a rule against being a jerk, sadly. This is the internet, after all.
All right. Next question. Hutchins asks, if we won't have the ability to customize our max capes, could they be red like they are in RS3?
Yeah, I'll probably go for red as the default, to be honest, but if we can't customise them, players have suggested dies. I don't think that's too unfeasible, just the idea of them possibly having between 6 or 10 dies that they can add to a cape. It just means more models, but they can be changed dynamically in config anyway with a max of 6 colours. Okay. So I won't be using more than 6 shades on them, definitely. So yeah, we can certainly play around with dies.
If we need to make multiple copies of it, that's fine, as long as it's a reasonable number of copies.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
The number of dies in the game is not that high. If, on the other hand, we wanted to let the player have an actual colour swatch menu and choose between, say, 20 colours, or have a real colour swatch with 1,000 colours, that's rather more copies of the cape than we're willing to configure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Cool. I think the only concern there is that we maintain the same general cosmetic appeal, that it still looks like a max cape and not...
With RS3, if you can imagine, you can get 4 times more detail into an area. So we have like a vertex grid where any point where polygons actually meet up at edges gets snapped to particular points. That's why if I attempt to make something very detailed in a small area, it will collapse in on itself because that area can't maintain the detail. So there will be certain parts of our RS3's cape that we can actually recreate, but it will certainly be simplified in other aspects just because we can't fit those sort of tiny little trims around the edges and things like that on the cape into Old School without them looking a bit chunkier, for example.
That makes sense. Speaking of capes, Mod Ghost will be showing off the new music cape.
Yes.
The final version, about halfway through the stream, as well as the emote.
As well as the emote.
Awesome. Cool.
The emote, I should say, will be in the editor. It won't be in-game yet, but the cape is in-game, and on a character that's wearing a particular type of armour that the cape now matches very nicely.
Best looking armour,
yes,
is it?
in Chris's opinion, the best looking armour.
Okay. Next question. Red Pop Plant asks, can you share any insight as to what it's like behind the scenes being a junior QA analyst? This is probably directed to Mod Day.
Yeah, well, so in a week we go through about 6 to 12 bugs, mostly through the bug queues. So in the morning I'll come into work, look through the bug queues. Sometimes we get some funny ones. I think we got called poop coders the other day, which was quite funny. I found it funny. No one else seems to find it funny. They were angry because they died in the wild in the wilderness. So they called us poop coders. Yeah, so I find a bug, I try and reproduce it. If it's actually a bug, I report it. Ash fixes it. Or Maz.
Or Krista.
Any in specific that's been the absolute funniest? Or most difficult even?
The most difficult I found was the Vishan and KQ bug, because I had to write down all the XP numbers and sort of do it several times to make sure it actually worked.
Okay.
It wasn't an entirely easy fix either, but it seems to be working.
The funniest, I don't think I found any that are particularly funny. I enjoy when there are graphic bugs because I look at them and I'm like,
yeah, I fixed quite a few of those today, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was one bug I saw that didn't get into the game because, well, we caught it before launch, but the developer who was writing the dialogue for Little Mo back in April got a little distracted by the music he was listening to. So he was trying to type Little Mo wanders off into the distance, and he accidentally typed Little Mo wanders off into Heroes in a Half Shell, from which you can guess what music he was listening to. And then he managed to copy it in about 3 other places in the file as well. I couldn't believe it was an accident, but he genuinely accidentally typed Heroes in a Half Shell. So we got rid of that before launch, so that you didn't get completely bizarre messages like that.
I'd have loved to see that go to purely for the absurdity of it for the players.
Well, I thought it was a cultural reference that was just a bit over my head, but no, it was just some music he was listening to. It's a good job he didn't have explicit lyrics.
Okay. There's actually another question for you here, Mod Day, asking, what do you do on release day?
We make sure the game hasn't gone belly up.
Yeah.
So we'll hop in game, see how it's going, like around the content that's been updated. Also, keep an eye on the bug queues, keep an eye on Twitter, because angry tweets when people find things that don't work.
If something goes wrong, they shout about it quite loudly.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's been fairly smooth from this update, although some players have reported that they don't always get a message if they challenge someone who's busy.
Okay.
I directed them to the bug queue to explain what exactly was going on at the
I
time.
haven't got anything yet, so...
Okay, the player thought she reported it. I guess she'll keep trying.
All right, next question. Flyway asks, could we see a buff to the Mistral Dragon's drop table? They're substantially harder to kill than any other, or most other monsters, and drop less. So they don't currently drop the Dragon Plate legs and Dragon Plate skirts. That's the suggested addition.
Are they the only place you can get chewed bones, though?
That I know of.
Because that does give you a unique item.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we've had people asking for more Mistral Dragons in their Slayer assignments, which suggested to me that they aren't completely horrible, otherwise people wouldn't want more of them.
Right.
So yeah, we can certainly buff their drop tables, but it's not feeling like the most urgent monster to encourage the use of, because it's got a pretty unique feature already, and like I say, people are already asking for more of it.
That's a good point. Very good point.
But we certainly can.
All right. Next question. We've got a couple of pictures for this one. This one's from Cree, who asks, could you split the achievement diary menu to be more organized? So hopefully we'll have something up on the screen. There you go. There's his example of what he'd like to see happen.
Shame we got that thing in the way, I can't see it.
Simply the ability. Come on, James going to sneak in here.
Thank you.
The ability to reorganize your diaries. That's really it. There's a second image. There you go. So you can see he's
That's interesting. I like that better, actually.
adjusted them from city, easy, medium, hard, elite. It's nicely organized. Receiving some very positive feedback in the chat. Is that a possibility?
I like it.
Oh, certainly enough dev time on it.
Okay. Cool.
I think, and Modmaz has given us a thumbs up, which might mean she's willing to do it.
Would love to straw poll this one then, if we could. So
It's certainly clearer. It's not an entirely trivial job, because at the moment your game client doesn't know what colour to show the text for the individual categories. It only knows about the entire diary being done or not done. So we'd have to do a bit of reworking to make that possible.
Okay.
But it can certainly be done.
Right. So there's a straw poll in your chat momentarily now regarding the two images you just saw, just basically the ability to better organize your achievement diaries.
There was some talk about the original diary developer doing it, but I guess he never got round to it. Oh well.
All right. While we wait for the results on that, let's go to this one from Sunstriker, who asks, can all monsters be given, or sorry, all monsters of any given species drop champion scrolls? So he's claiming, for example, only skeletons with round shields instead of all skeletons will drop a champion scroll. Why is this?
You know, I had a look at the skeletons. It looks to me like when the graphics team was doing a skeleton improvement project and made like 10 more varieties of skeleton, they didn't have drop tables plugged into any of the new ones. So only the one with the round shield, I think, drops stuff.
That's interesting.
No,
I
from
think that's
testing, the
accurate.
round shield doesn't drop anything. I had to test these. The round shield one doesn't drop. If he's only got a round shield, he doesn't drop it.
There's one kind of skeleton that drops stuff, and all the other skeletons, I think, just weren't given drops. So that's why it came about.
He's also saying it's the goblins in the stronghold of security.
Yep.
Yeah. Is this something we can fix relatively easily, or is that a...
It's a matter of making sure we found every goblin in the game. Now, what happened with that is simply the developer who wrote the Champions Challenge plugged it into all the monsters he knew about at the time he did it, and then over the next decade, many other monsters were added to the game without anybody necessarily plugging in these things.
Right.
The good thing is that when Mod John C was working on the message you get, the coloured message when you get a champion challenge. I had him make the code kind of much more consistent for that, which means he can now plug in just one line to any monster he likes and he'll start dropping the things.
Oh, that'd be handy.
So that's going to be a lot quicker than it used to be.
Perfect. Cool. We've got the results back from asking if you'd like the idea of better organizing your diaries. It's passing at 92%.
If it hadn't passed, I'd have really wanted to know why.
If it's an easy job, or at least not terribly difficult.
Well, I could see somebody spending, say, a day on it.
Okay.
We're not exactly short of things we need to spend a day on. After all, people are starting to wonder where the Slayer updates are.
Right.
And things like that. But yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, 92% for a straw poll is pretty phenomenal.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks for your votes. Next question. Robbo asks, can we see Monster Examine be buffed to show us more detailed information? This has been brought up before.
Yes.
But he's requesting a few interesting things, such as defense levels of the monster, which attack style it's weak to, and which attack style it's attacking you with. Can we display this information?
Most of it's on the monster's parameters, so it can be read from the metadata fairly easily. You'll get custom monsters, special like bosses, where the developers will write custom behaviour for them. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether the developer really knew what they were doing. Like, I think Glod, for example, has a parameter on him says he uses Crush, and for some of his melee attacks he does, and for some of them he checks against your slash defense. And I can't tell really whether the developer wants to shake it up a bit with some variety or whether the developer was having trouble typing.
Right.
But for most monsters we can make this work.
Interesting. We're seeing some people say that might be a little too easy. Highly against that idea of knowing what they're fighting against. Kind of surprising there.
Oh, see a request there to ban Robbo for having this suggestion.
Will do immediately after stream.
This
Thanks
is the
for that.
most vaguely related thing ever.
I'm
I
curious.
saw a suggestion on Reddit. I don't know how possible this would be, and that's why I'm bringing it up, is examining pets to see how many boss kills the player that owns the
I
pet
suggested
has.
that like last week.
You suggested that?
Totally did.
I wasn't watching last week. What was the answer?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I think we said it. No, it wasn't last week. It was maybe a few weeks ago. It was one we had at my place. We said it'd be a really cool idea, but there obviously isn't an examine option right now.
Yeah, and I'd be rather hesitant to put it back again.
Yeah. That
But I do like the idea.
not everybody likes right-clicking a pet and having something there, obviously, but that would be a really cool way to show that off.
For the moment, the engine's been programmed so that anything classed as a pet doesn't have examines at all for other players. We can obviously have the engine reprogrammed so that it does and has just an examine option. Or maybe it has an examine option, but only if the person doing the examining has a certain toggle set or
Right.
something. Of course, what we mostly want from the engine team at the moment is not necessarily exactly that.
Right.
At the moment, I'm particularly keen to get the scalable interface thing that Ian's been working on. He's tweeted a few previews, so that people who've got big monitors in resizable mode can see the text a bit better.
Okay.
I'd like to see that out before we start pursuing, well, anything else,
Like I said,
especially this.
being a bit of a higher priority, definitely.
But it's certainly possible.
But if and when we do go down that path, it looks like they agree a toggle would be best for that. All right.
They usually do.
I think for new players especially, like they don't know about the high level PPM content, and being able to see the pets and stuff would give them good incentive to go there.
I would like the examine option.
What would be funny is if you
I'm a
could
noob.
toggle off seeing other people's pets at all. It's about as possible as all the other things we've discussed with enough engine work, so just throwing it out there.
Okay.
People say they don't want to see Petscape. This would make them not see Petscape, and it could also make them not see other people's random events with a bit more engine work.
Ooh. All right. Let's go to this one from Mothman, who asks, when can we see XP drops?
Ooh, made a start on that. Got the behaviour so that you can turn it on, turn it off with the usual button by the minimap. When you gain XP, it brings up a little icon of the skill along with the number that rises up to the counter bar at the top. You get the option with the counter bar of whether it shows your total XP or the XP in the skill you most recently got XP in.
Okay.
or always the same skill if you're really only interested in prayer XP and you don't want it to keep showing your combat skills. So you can make it always show the same skill. Or you can make it just go away altogether. Did you an option for changing the size as well and the positions, so you can choose where, which corner of the screen it turns up in, because usually top right is where it always used to be back in the day.
Right.
But then RS3 started having it in the middle at one point, so we give you an option for that, because why not? And someone asked for it to be on the left as well, so yeah, sure, why not? If we're giving an option of position, it may as well have more.
So you've already started it.
Yes, yes, I've already started. This is what I've achieved so far.
Do you anticipate it being a massive job and taking a very long time to get there?
I've done what I consider to be the hard bit of making the thing show XP drops.
Yep.
But of course, with all these options, you need a menu to control them. I also want you to be able to set, a counter so it tracks how much XP you've gained in a skill since you reset the counter, because people like that kind of thing often. And I also like it you able to set goals so that rather than having the progress bar necessarily show your progress to the next level, you could make it show your progress to a certain goal that you set yourself, which might be fun for people who've gone beyond 99.
Definitely.
In particular. Otherwise the progress bar isn't very useful to them. So with all these options, needs a menu, and that is long, laborious, and I'm not done yet.
Fair enough.
But we've got to start.
Sure, that's made a lot of people very happy.
Well, what I didn't say was coming out next update, because it isn't. Sorry, that would make them even happier. But it'll get there. Also, I'm afraid I'm away again next week, which is not going to make it any quicker. Of course, I've got other colleagues who might be able to do some stuff in my absence, like finish it. But they've also got other work to do. Maz, for example, is making really good progress on the F key reassignment menu. It's looking rather good. I believe you guys saw it last week.
Mm-hmm. Show a little preview of that.
Yeah, it's looking very good, and I hope to see it out soon.
Awesome.
But I don't want to take her off that to do XP drops.
Definitely. All right, we'll do another question here before we hop over to Mod Ghost showing off the music cave.
I'll just take 5 minutes to make sure everything's absolutely in order again.
Cool. Maybe two questions. Ed Hicks asks, can you increase the points cap at Barbarian Assault to stop people from having to juggle positions in teams every game?
Yes.
Quite widely suggested, this one.
Oh yes, it's on the list of future polls already. We ran up against that one and the pest control one and decided to prioritise pest control because that had a really low cap and we just released Elite Void. But Barbie Assault was something we always intended to come back to.
Cool.
Code might actually be easier for that one too.
Glad to hear that.
I'm sure John will have a great time testing Barbarian Assault.
He loves Barbarian Assault, I hear.
I'm hoping that the way we can do it will be simple enough that he doesn't have to do quite so much testing of the game itself to make it work.
Something makes me think that maybe John wouldn't be doing so much of the testing.
Oh yes, we hired him some minions. No, he doesn't have the test things he doesn't like. Hang on, that means we can start doing things to Shades of Mortarton again.
Brilliant.
Because he always said he didn't want to test that.
Sorted.
He saw the code for it, you see, and he's got a point.
All right. Dan asks, thoughts on the random chance of receiving a clue scroll, there's a couple images for this one, bear with me, of receiving a clue scroll from a skill resource. So this is a very widely liked idea right now on Reddit. It's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting one. We've never explored anything like it as we set up for Mod Ghosts preview. So the idea, as we expand, is to achieve a similar way the bird's nest reacts from a tree, for example, or an uncut gem from a rock. You might get something from mining or fishing. So he's got a couple images here, put some work into them. Kind of interesting ideas. So the top left one you can see, for example, is craft these rooms within a time period. You know, clue scroll-ish type stuff, simply from skilling. What are your thoughts on this? Should we go around the table? Yeah, sounds fun. Mary?
I really like this idea.
Yeah, Ronan?
I saw this came up on Reddit like a couple of weeks ago, just a really basic idea, which was just get clue scrolls from skilling. And having seen what this guy's shown off. I think it's a really nice kind of expansion on that. I think
Yeah.
it would do. I just like the aspect of clues where it pulls you away from the daily grind, and you can go and have a bit of fun, maybe get rewarded for it. I think it would be nice to get that for skillers as well.
And yet you're not obliged to do it that instant necessarily.
Exactly,
Would love to straw poll this one as well, as this is a kind of controversial one as we gauge the chat's reaction here. But a lot of yeses. So the idea
Well,
again
goodness knows what that's all about.
is clue scrolls essentially, but for skilling. So skilling clue scrolls. Not sure what we would call these yet, but you know, mining, fishing, anything that's resource gathering. So wood cutting,
Skill
thieving,
challenge scroll.
skill challenge scroll
Good work.
works for me.
So
So
we
we'll
do
straw
actually
poll
have
that in
skill
a second
challenge
here.
scrolls from the elites already. So, but these come from a much better source.
Yeah. All right, you guys can vote on that in a second. Now, I guess the real question here is, what would they give you? Now, he's got a couple interesting ideas. Bear with us here. He suggested potential of a third age pickaxe and third age hatchet, or axe. That's interesting, because I don't know if they would be better than the dragon ones, obviously.
If
That's
they
up-
were, that would be, well, we can make the code work if players wanted us to.
That's one up for debate. Other idea was pouches for other skills. So a fishing pouch to hold raw fish, one for woodcutting to hold 28 logs, for example.
Powerful stage.
I think to make it worth doing, or at least as worth it as clue scrolls, we'd probably have to come up with a pretty sizable list of things, even if it was just cosmetics thrown in there. I mean, clue scrolls is 90% cosmetics.
Now, as for cosmetics, an example of a potential idea here for a reward is the farmer in Ardoin, the farming patch there. He's got an interesting little outfit. I don't know if he has overalls or if he's just not wearing a shirt, but he's got an interesting, rather large straw hat, and he's holding a spade, I think, or a
Wieldable
pickaxe.
spade. I would buy one of them, definitely.
Wieldable spade. Ooh, that's dangerous thinking, Ronan.
Yeah, the awkward bit would be trying to use it on things like farming patches while it's in your inventory, while it's equipped. But at least we've got the dig option and clear option on patches now to make that kind of thing more possible.
Back to overalls. I mistakenly mentioned overalls, and now I've decided that I want overalls and the straw hat.
I like the straw hat idea.
Yeah. All right. So rewards aside, the idea is what we're voting on right now in the straw poll, which is passing by, what's that, 71%? 72%?
Pretty good.
Second
10%
option being
don't
no,
mind as well, yeah.
and then there being a I don't mind option. So it's a very interesting suggestion. Really cool idea. That was from Dan, 17AN.
Someone's requesting a third age bucket in the stream.
Maybe a golden bucket. All right. Coming up with some really cool ideas on the spot here. Let's go to the next question. Actually, I think, are we ready for Mod Ghost's preview? Yeah?
Ah.
Cool. Music Cape, let's do it.
Okay. Are we on? Yeah. We're good. Right, okay, so basically there was two choices that you had here. There was one that was more traditional and that kept in line with an image that popped up on Google that was allegedly from our archives, but we couldn't actually find anything in the archive. So this is a recreation of that, just here. You can see it hasn't got a black trim, but I've actually just changed the trim to black now to match third age armour, just because that's what people were asking for in large numbers, and I figured it would fill an aesthetic gap in the game so people can actually have something which matches their kit. The music cape down the bottom here was derived from feedback from the community. I don't think it's the music cape that we're actually going to go with though, because if I think of everyone having one of these capes of achievement in their inventory, in their bank, in their player own house interface, I can't imagine them scrolling down the list and seeing a treble clef there. I think they're going to want the icon from the interface. So if we just go into the editor, oh, there was a straw poll as well. This helps me gauge appreciation. You can see there's 3,500 people that voted on this, and it's pretty much neck and neck, to be honest. So I figured we'd just go with something that actually suits the game, as opposed to something that's kind of a bit out there and a bit unusual. I don't think people are really going to appreciate that en masse. So if we just go into the editor, cool, this is what we have. So this is the original that you will get, and this is the trim version. The trim version will only be acquired if you have 2 skill capes. You won't be able to get it if you've got a quest cape, for example, and a music cape. It won't work like that. So if we just look in game, You can see it uses the same colour as the Third Age melee kit, just there. So I'll just give you a bit of a rotation around it. Cool. The idea of it being gold was just to match the strings, but I think just the black just tends to suit it more. I just want to make this feel like it actually fits into the game and isn't going off on tangents, because it is more like a prestigious item as opposed to something new, for example, like the large piece of content we've released like Zulra. So we can actually take a look at the emote now. So again, still wearing the same kit, and I'm just going to run this. It will just run on a loop so you can check it out. Cool. That's what I was trying to do last week. Cool, and there you have it. I think that's everything to do with the music cape that I've covered. Oh, the other thing, Olaf the Bard will be giving this music cape away. That's why I thought the harp suited it as well, because in one of the quests he kind of like gets you to make a harp and then enchant it. It's not a harp, it's a lyre, of course. But yeah, it just seems more fitting for the person that's giving you the cape as well. And I just like the fact that it tidies up into a neat little package, if you like. So I think that's definitely it for the music cape now. Is that everything? Yeah, cool. Okay, I hope you like it. I'm sorry for those that are disappointed.
Well done. I really like that. I like it. The Third Age as well. Looks really nice. Cool. All right, back to the questions then. Tom27. Oh, right. Ash's mug has been replaced with a bucket.
It's grown.
Needs more tea.
Well, I do like tea a lot.
Tom2727 asks, can you give free-to-players a few days membership as a one-time reward after completing all free-to-play quests? Interesting to incentivize questing in free-to-play. I've obviously never done that before.
And also at the moment when you've done all the free-to-play quests, maybe you do want to start doing some members ones. I know I did.
Yeah. A few days, it's not a very long time. It gives you a bit of a taste. But this is a very big question. It's not a simple, I can't say yes or no.
I think we definitely need lots of mod map data to back that up, because that could potentially have a pretty big impact on the number of people that convert from free to play to members, which is definitely something that needs to be given an awful lot of consideration.
Also, back in the day when I started playing, I leveled up, did all the free to play quests. When I finally got around to doing Dragon Slayer, that was when I decided I would finally subscribe. I'd been playing for about 6 to 9 months by this point, but I leveled slow. Anyway, so also it's classic. So it made sense to, if I had an incentive to subscribe, like a bit of trial period, that might have helped. The thing we're finding these days though, and we've got a lot of data on this, is that the vast majority of people creating an account and ever subscribing it do so the day they made it, long before they've finished up the free game. So while anecdotally you'd expect people to subscribe after they've done all the free-to-play quests, heck, it worked for me, that doesn't seem to be the way most people go. So the effect of this would be a lot less significant than you'd expect, simply because people who subscribe generally do it anyway.
Interesting.
That's what the data's shown so far. Now, I don't think this would do much harm. Of course, I could be wrong about that, and that would be very embarrassing, but it might also not do a huge amount of good in terms of the dev time from the building team to make it happen.
Yeah. Definitely ties back into what Ronan said. We would need mod data.
I think if we're looking for more promotions to encourage free-to-play to subscribe in future, this is something we could certainly consider and research. But for the moment, we're actually finding that the rate of people subscribing for free-to-play is pretty peachy, thank you. So we haven't been trying to look for more ways to get membership out of them.
I haven't heard anybody say peachy before.
Really?
No. All right, cool. All right, that answers that then. Next question. Fist asks, thoughts on a 24-hour no PK start in Deadman mode? So no PKing for the first 24 hours upon just the release day.
I think that ruins all the fun. The release day is going to be the best.
By far.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
That would make it really tepid.
Because it puts anyone It puts anyone that joins at a later date at a pretty significant disadvantage as well.
Definitely.
It'd be a bit rough.
Call it dying man mode for the first day.
Yeah, especially since some people would definitely take that time and dedicate the entire 24 hours, whereas others might have to work or have school or something like that. So,
I remember the first day of Old School, I played at least 20 hours. So I can imagine it will be similar for Deadman mode.
We did some stuff to Tutorial Island to handle the crowds going through it on that day.
all right. So that answers your question. Not too likely. All right. Jerry Style asks, are you adding an entirely new quest, or will you build off of an old quest? Now, this question is referring to a tweet that we made saying, indeed, we did confirm that we are going to be making a new quest. Didn't say when, didn't say what it's going to be. Can we say whether it's a new one or whether it's expanding off of an old one?
Well, at the end of the day, we are open to players telling us which they prefer. The one thing we were pretty much ruling out is copying an RS3 quest and trying to copy its graphics and code and story and import it into Old School. Because while we've got Path of Gluffery and Land of the Goblins in the half-written archive from August 2007, which we can roll in without too much effort, probably take about a week each there. We can do those, but what we can't do is take, say, Chosen Commander or I don't know, Summer's End even, and copy all the code and graphics, import them into Old School and release it as a quest for you guys. The thing is, it takes a long time to copy those graphics across. The Corporeal Beast took, well, some weeks of graphics work, and it's only got 9 models. The Grand Exchange took also, I think that was a couple of weeks between you guys getting all those
2
models in.
weeks in total, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So if we were trying to do an entire quest with all the animations that would entail, that's a huge amount of work now. And while we don't mind doing a huge amount of work, there's a lot of other things people want that would have more benefit than a new quest that everyone's actually seen before anyway in another game. So we wouldn't copy an RS3 quest for those reasons. But we are happy to write pretty much any new quest at all, be it an expansion to an existing storyline or a new storyline following up the some of the mysteries of RuneScape that people would like more info on, such as what is wrong with the sandwich lady, or how did the wise old man get that thing under his bed, or why did he put it there even. Lots of possibilities.
Definitely.
Someone tweeted the other day saying, could we have a story about a banker, explaining the story behind this person who is a banker and giving them some more personality apart from just being a banker. The answer is yes, we could do that.
I like the idea of having small quests anyway, just so we can gauge how well a quest goes down in the first place, instead of releasing some whopping epic and everyone going, oh, I don't really even fancy this, to be honest.
Yes and no. You write a small quest and quite often you'll get that response because it's a small quest.
Oh, right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, fair enough.
Like if we go and release Monk's Friend, they're not going to thank us.
All right. Well, hopefully that answers your question. All right. Ed Hicks asks, can you remove the team size limit in the tournament servers? So currently they're capped at 5 versus 5 only. He's asking, can we have the ability, not just the free-for-all portal, or not the free-for-all portal, I should say, can we have the ability to expand it to 10 people, 20 people, 100 people? Can we have 100 versus 100 war using the servers? And I actually asked this to Matt earlier. He said, yeah, for sure. Could definitely do that.
It's quite easy. We just take out all the code that's saying you can only have 5 by 5.
Yeah. Which could make for some very, very, very fun live streams, I'm thinking, really.
As a temporary thing, I don't mind. If we were going to leave it long term, then I'd be a bit more iffy about it, because it would mean that anybody wanting a clan war doesn't need to worry about stats or items anymore.
Yep.
They'd just go and use these servers and have whatever clan war they were ever going to in the first place, which will probably, well, kill off anyone ever wanting a clan war in the normal servers, and wouldn't be very good for the PvP thing altogether. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why we've got the restrictions at the moment. But we can certainly take them out. And I don't know if the tournament servers are staying long term or not.
Just till the end of July.
In that case, I don't mind having the restrictions removed until, say, the end of July.
Mm-hmm.
We could even revisit that white portal. I was actually on holiday when you guys took out the access to that on the tournament worlds. It was still available when I went, but we could put it back in again.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Haltia asks, can you fix the eating glitch, quote unquote, with shark karambwaning? So, karambwaning, sharks and karambwans. Right. So is this a glitch?
In my opinion, the developers who wrote all the food items at different times with different code should have used the same code and made all food consistent. However, they did not. Why? Do not know. Possibly they just copied some other random piece of food or wrote it however they liked and didn't think to check other food. But I don't think it was intentional that certain food items like some of the gnome food and karambwans don't act like normal food. That said, in the intervening, decade, it has become something of the unique selling point of the karambwan. I can't think of another use for the karambwan, in fact, because it's harder to get hold of than a shark, and heals about the same.
I wouldn't touch it personally.
Yeah. So I've always refused point blank to fix that bug when asked to do so in previous years, and I'd be very surprised if the old school community really wanted it changed now.
That being said, the only real one I could see getting a little bit of support would be to remove Shark Karambwan and Brew, getting up to 60 health in a single tick.
People still manage to die with sharks, karambwans, and brews. I think it's just the established way that.
It's also not the easiest thing to get down. Well, not for.
It is pretty easy. You click 3 times.
All right, Ronan.
Maybe not for you, Chris.
All right.
Noob.
Do we need to get the dragon bucket out again?
We did 1v1 the other day and I won, just saying.
Lie.
We were testing the dual arena update. Yeah. So
I wasn't testing it, I was taking it seriously.
For what it's worth, if I did try and change Shark Karambwan Brew, it would have knock-on effects. Almost certainly. I think we should leave it alone.
I agree.
I'm open to players saying otherwise, but I don't think they are saying otherwise.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Jack asks, will Deadman mode have Tutorial Island? Now, at first, this sounded like a really fun question. Indeed, it will, but it will be a safe zone. So, sorry to burst your bubble there.
It gets what you might call inconvenient if people start dying on Tutorial Island.
Imagine just making your account and you're already dead.
Yeah.
Would they spawn in Umbridge though? Would that make it easier?
That has happened before. We've got some code in to make sure they can't smuggle items off Tutorial Island by doing this now. Which they previously could when PvP Worlds came out. For what it's worth, we did make Tutorial Island safe when PvP Worlds came out, except for the southwest corner. There was a small patch of about 5 tiles where you still could do PvP, because the developer who was making it safe missed a click. Accidents happen, he got everything else right. But yeah, that's why we don't allow killing on Tutorial Island.
Okay. We have time for a few more questions here. Baskar asks, the drill demon emotes as real emotes was previously straw polled at 88%.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting idea. How happy are you to introduce those emotes, Gareth?
Well, we've got the air guitar remote that's done. The music cape's done. My part of it's done anyway. Even the infantry icons. Yeah, I don't see why I can't do it next week, but the Slayer boss is coming up soon.
Next week?
Yeah.
It's quicker than I was expecting.
Not out for next week, but I can start working it next week, definitely.
It hasn't been
I was
polled,
going to
has
say
it?
and there's quite a few emotes actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 4 or something.
There's 4.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the animations exist already because they're there. What you'd need is the buttons for the emotes interface, which is 2D pixel art. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble with that.
Just about managed that. Yeah, there's only like a couple of, about 50 pixels on those things probably. So yeah, we should be fine. Yeah, I can do that then. I'll manage that. I think I can run that out on Monday if it's just some icons. It'll be okay. Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. Like that agility course thing where it's kind of like there's a drill instructor and people want that. Yeah.
He makes you do push-ups and.
I get what you mean now.
Sit-ups. I don't remember.
Yeah, jog on the spot, sit-ups.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
That's fine.
Next question.
Just quickly. That thread on the forums that he made in the sessions forum now has, I think it has over 1.3k bumps for him.
How many are from him?
Probably 1.3k of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always remembered Baskar as that guy who wants that.
Yeah, he's got another couple of threads as well.
Oh, what else do you want?
I think he wanted the ability to change your private chat colour.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. That
yeah.
also passed in a straw poll.
I'm more interested in that one, I have to admit.
Changing the color of your chat. There you go, next question.
I did the original colour menu for private chats so that it didn't have to be that cyan blue all the time.
Right.
Then we found there weren't that many colours that were better, but yellow had its uses in certain places. God Wars Dungeon, for example, when there's a lot of white backgrounds.
Okay. So you'd have no trouble working on that again?
It's not hard to do, just requires a menu. I could see myself spending a day on it.
Alright, cool.
Mind you, I could see myself spending a day on many things, including finishing XP, including more time towards XP drops.
Alright, Glider asks, it's an interesting one from Odd Ghost. Can you change the requirements of the music cape to not require all songs, but instead just most of them?
It's not a music cape then, is it?
So the complaint here is that some peers, all peers, can't depending on the peer, can't access certain areas. They can't get all tracks completed. They won't be able to get the music cape. So it's only going to really be the more experienced player.
That is a curveball.
Yeah.
You could have told me before we came on. Prepared an official statement. I don't want to offend the peers either. That'd be really harsh.
By
Too
that
late.
logic-
You've done.
By that logic, would we also have to make the max cape available to pures who haven't got their defense max?
Ash
Yeah, I
has
think-
saved the day. Yeah, who cares? No, you can't have it. All tracks unlocked because it's not a completionist style
Except
cape. Is it?
possibly the holiday event tracks. See, there's all the Easter ones, for example, can't be unlocked until next Easter.
Oh, I thought they all unlocked on the same holiday.
They do. Next Easter will be the next Easter
right,
holiday.
so I thought like when Christmas came around, all the Easter tracks, etc., just unlock.
No, we always did it. All the Christmas unlocks, all the Christmas ones, etc.
Okay, sure.
But since it would be a little bit harsh to release a music cape and say, by the way, anyone who wasn't here last Easter has to wait until March to
Sure.
get it.
And of course, we'd have to
might
tell
get that.
people that it'll be coming, that they'll get it, and they'll have to wait until Christmas, which isn't particularly good either.
So it might be easy all around if we just exempt those.
Okay, cool. Well, Maz is right over there. She can hear all of this, and she's going to be scripting it probably tomorrow, next week sometime. So,
I think that was a thumbs up from Maz.
Cool.
Cool.
What about the Peers thing? Is it?
No, I
No.
think if they set
Sweet.
themselves that challenge, they
Okay.
give themselves that restriction.
That's cool. Sorry, Peers. I'm sorry.
Blame Mod Ghost.
Don't.
Huh. Now that's harsh.
All right,
I remember this, Chris.
Speaking of the music cape, Sensei asks, shuffle button to come with the music cape. Not so much a question, more a demand.
Demands? You're making demands now, are they?
So just a shuffle button to be able to switch from random tracks.
That is completely up to Maz if she wants to do that. It's not me, really.
I think we traditionally poll that kind of thing rather than kind of bundling it with the music cape, because it's not obvious from the question about a music cape and emote that it would come with a shuffle button.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't mind seeing a shuffle button, and I do know how much work will be required to implement such a thing should it pass.
Right.
But I don't think it's something that's just going to get feature crept in with the music cape like that.
So it's definitely not a small job then.
Quite a lot of the music code has been revamped. Like all the music button code now goes through one central method that I wrote that will be easy to tie into.
Right.
However, when you unlock music through, playing through content, going to an area, that code generally hasn't been rewritten because we've had no reason to rip it out and rewrite it, which means that all of it would need to be converted to use that method of mine so that she can tie into it and set up something to shuffle when the track ends. So I think we might need to come back to that another time.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to this one from Fizz, who asks, so what's the next big update to come after the Duel Arena tournament? XP drops you mentioned are definitely not going to be next week.
Afraid not, because I'm not here.
Can we say what the next big update will be?
Well, rearranging your F keys is a fairly big deal.
Yep.
Because the order they're in at the moment is not particularly convenient, even if a lot of people have got used to it. So the ability to change it to pre-EOC would be quite useful to a lot of people, especially if they don't want to use third-party clients. So, and also they could change it to something even more convenient if they like. Because frankly, I don't think we as developers ever really put much design into the order of those F keys.
Right.
The original implementation of the F key listeners for the buttons turned up in 2006 because somebody just wrote it down in the order of the buttons at the time, except for the inventory, which he put on escape, and we didn't even know it was there till it was live because he forgot to document it. And then in pre-EOC, again, I think it was just rearranged to suit the order of the buttons in whatever mode we had at the time.
Right.
So if players wanted to come up with something new, that might make combat a little bit less inconvenient for them with magic F keys to press.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, I think we have time for a couple more questions here. Let's go to this one from, his name is Deadman Mode. He's asking about Deadman Mode. He's asking, can we have campfires to recover run energy faster, but would also alarm surrounding players?
Alarm?
Let them know somehow that there's a campfire and there is somebody present at the campfire. It would give you run energy, which is definitely going to be valuable in Deadman Mode. You're going to be running everywhere.
I think it'll be really difficult to get stamina pots because they're such high level content.
Yeah.
It'll be a while before they're in the game, but I think with Deadman Mode, I think keeping it as close to Old School as possible would probably be a wise idea, just so people that are familiar with Old School will be able to jump straight in and everything is something that they know, and they'll have their plan set out, what they're going to do on day one, and from there on out. I think that's a fairly substantial change to Deadman Mode.
Definitely, I agree. Especially at the beginning, maybe looking at changes like this more towards like after a few months or so.
I love the idea of people going towards a fire and then just being ambushed by tons of people that they aren't aware of. That'd be great.
It's certainly more atmospheric than having a bard where you try and put one of those down and it plays for you, and other people hear the music and come towards it. I think I like the campfire better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Next question from Jordan asks, is it possible to get a character equip screen similar to RS3's that is accessible from the bank interface?
I think when I first wrote that, I did it by tying in some of the infrastructure made for resizable mode and, cheating to make it let me have two interfaces open for the bank and the equip screen simultaneously.
Right.
And I can do that again. Now we have resizable mode too.
Interesting. Okay. Didn't know that'd be possible. Chat doesn't like that.
Yeah, the engine wasn't all that different between when I first did it and what we have now. So yeah, I could do it. Hey, if they don't want it, that saves us something to worry about.
Okay.
Although the idea of being able to wear items while you're in the bank screen is not a bad one.
I like it personally.
And the reason I let you switch to the equip screen is so you could unequip them again if you made a mistake,
Right.
or if you just wanted to.
Okay. Next and final question, I think, probably from Mod Ghost.
Got loads this week.
I handed this last year. So last year we had the cow teleport home animation.
Oh, right, yeah, right.
Do you have anything special planned for this year?
Not been asked, but I don't see why not. Yeah, that sounds fine. We'll just try and come up with something like when Matt's back, and just I'll mention it to him, see if we can have something nice made.
Yeah.
We need something iconic that represents a piece of content from this year.
Deadman?
Yeah, you could just
So
drop
you
dead.
just die, and then you actually teleport.
The die emote.
Hang
The
on.
die.
There's already something in the game that makes you do a die emote and go to Lumbridge. It's called Death.
Yeah. All right. That answers that. I think we're good for this Q&A then.
Sure.
Any final words? The tournament is taking place next week. Not this week, not this weekend. Next weekend is the tournament consisting of 8 total teams, 5 players in each team, 4 maps, 3 game modes for a prize pool of $10,000. It is seriously going to be fun to watch. You don't want to miss it. That's it.
What about Harakiri home teleport?
Just ruined my plug.
It's an idea.
All right, guys. Cool. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.